Good evening and welcome to the January 13th, 2025 Board of Select Persons meeting. Let's start with a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would look for a motion to approve the December 30th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? I think we have copies here. Okay, all in favor? Next, I would look for a motion to approve the January 6th meeting minutes.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, and we have no warrants prepared for tonight. The only one we have a copy of one that we didn't have last week's meeting, and then some of us came in during the week and signed it, so we have a copy of that if anyone needs it, but we have no current warrants for tonight. We'll catch those up during the week. And would someone read the announcements, please?
The Select Board will meet on Tuesday, January 21st at 7 p.m. The Planning Board will meet Wednesday, January 22nd at 7 p.m. The Municipal Building will be closed on Monday, January 20th for the holiday. The sand salt mixture is available for Limerick residents in the back parking lot of the Bricktown Hall. The Appeals Board has 3 vacant seats to fill. Please reach out to the Select Board admin if interested at 793-4475. As a reminder, if you're speaking at any meeting, please go to the microphone so everyone will be able to hear. As part of the hearing a citizen policy, no personal attacks on any individual or firm, including town employees, town officials, or members of the public will be tolerated during any meetings. Please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the Board of Select Persons outside the public meeting. And please stay current with town information by visiting www.limerickme.org.
Thank you. Okay, for department reports, we've got Stan on the agenda for his special assessing liaison work, but where we have Casey here to give us the report on the town-owned properties, we'll go to her.
So for this week, we're just tidying up one last property, but the 2 Dog Road properties are still managing title issues. They're both under extension, trying to sort out how to clear the title. The court documents Stan was waiting for Lot 105 still haven't arrived, and Lot 106 is in with the buyer's attorney to determine if quieting the title will be possible. Map 38, Lot 106 is closing tomorrow, and I have the closing statement for you to sign tonight. And there are no other updates.
How long are 105 and 106 extended to?
105 is extended to sometime in March, and 106, I believe, is extended to the end of this month.
End of February. Is there any wording in either of those contracts that we can cancel them now?
Where we have granted the extensions, I do not think so.
Okay.
Other questions?
So, along those lines, we would just wait until the extension runs out, and then if there's no action by then, we can just void it. Yeah, okay. So that's our option.
Yes.
Can you check the contract to see if we have any outs?
It's very difficult for the seller side to escape a contract. I can give you more of like a legal counsel on that to see if it's escapable.
Okay. My fear is that they close on them, find an issue, and come back and sue us after the fact.
I think all of these buyers have been disclosed about the risk, both from their own counsel and multiple disclosures about the potential title issues that these properties have.
Okay?
That I don't feel it's like a serious risk.
All right?
Okay, thank you, Casey.
Steve had a question, Gil.
Do you want to just sign her statement so she can,
Yeah.
Ask you to speak up. We've had some comments from viewers that they cannot hear you, and yeah. So, but if you could, and if you could speak up, you kind of whisper.
Bill, for 20 years, we didn't have a problem. Seems like this past year we've had problems, okay? But anyway, I just, on those contracts with those lots, when did we extend them to February or March?
We voted on it a couple meetings back.
Go all the way out to March on some of these?
The 105, yes, the title issue on that one is super complicated because the town actually foreclosed on the wrong person. So, it may not have been the town's fault. The person was foreclosed on and the property was exchanged, and it appears that it may have been exchanged to their own company. But to find the heirs of the company, Stan's requested some court documents from that company, from the state, to find out who the owners of that were. It's just super hard because it's from 1955.
Probably we shouldn't have put those lots on until we had everything done. But just an experience that would go in.
Discovered during the buyer's actual title search, and where the town has not done any title searches on this, there was no way to know. That's right. Right. But where the,
Talking, I'm going, wow, we're giving these people 6 months to buy a
she would close
lot of land. Yeah.
tomorrow if she could, but as of right now, it doesn't even appear the town has the right to sell it.
No, that's all right.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have Lisa LePage speaking for the Historical Society.
Director of Limerick Historical Society. I'm updating everybody on the time capsule event, the 50-year time capsule / 250th birthday of Limerick. So we have August 9th, put it in Berlana, because the original sealing of the time capsule was August 10th, which would have been Sunday. So we've chosen the 9th, closest you can get to the 50 years. We have Limerick Historical Society, Limerick Research Committee, Limerick Fire Department, and Limerick Parks and Rec. We're all working together. If you want to join in, you have ideas. If you have ideas and you don't want to come to one of our meetings, I bet Alicia would let you send the ideas to her. Right, Miss Alicia?
Yeah.
And then she'll forward them to me. Our next meeting at the town, at the fire department, is the 22nd at 6 p.m. That was our first, David Carpenter, correct? Champion. I can't get it right. Is a co-anchor of the original 50-year, the planning. So we had him, he's lived in Massachusetts, so we had him via Zoom. So he was a really good resource, and he's got a bunch of stuff for us. And Steve Foglio, Steve Foglio is coming, was going down to get all this. He put in a projector with the reel, but he discovered he has the cord to it at his house. So, but he has pictures for us, a lot of information. So Steve's gone down to pick that stuff up. It should be fun. We're planning pretty much a full-day event for the birthday and time capsule. Questions?
That's exciting. What time is that? I guess I do have a question. The meeting on the 22nd? 6. Thank you.
Okay, and next on the agenda, we have whether we've invited representative from Bernstein Sure to speak. So,
Costigan, Costigan, from Bernstein Shire. So we were asked to come speak with you tonight. Not sure if you have questions or how you want this to roll. There was no RFP that I believe that we answered and provided any information. We were just asked to show up. I know we had one of our associates recently help you with a court case, and I think some discussions happened through there. That perhaps maybe we would take over as general counsel, so.
Something we're considering, so we just wanted to, see what our options were. And, I don't know if Bernstein sure handle things differently than typical attorneys that deal with municipalities are.
There are a few law firms, Bernstein Shire one of them, that is what we call full-service law firm for municipalities, which means that we would be handling closings, title searches, foreclosures, land use appeals, tax appeals, everything within the building. We can do everything that a municipality needs. With a lot of history. I myself, I'm a shareholder at Bernstein Shire. I used to actually be in-house at the City of Portland, and then about 13 or 14 years ago, I went over to Bernstein Shire, and I represent many towns in Maine. I would say as general counsel, we represent about 50 towns in Maine. And then we do a lot of specialty work, we do a lot of bond work, we do, just you name it, employment work, which I know is usually a big ticket item. So we have folks who specialize in a lot of different areas. And then Phil and I and a couple of associates are the generalists.
Okay, any other questions down that way?
With your firm, would we have basically one person designated to us? And if,
Contact person, which would be me.
which would be you?
Yeah,
And if something came up that was outside of your scope, you'd pass it off
that
to,
is correct.
same as,
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I handle the day-to-day questions, but if it's an employment thing, I hand it over to Matt or Ann, and they get right back to you. But I handle most things.
has anybody asked or looked about cost?
Costs. It's okay, it's all right, and we are the most expensive firm for municipal work, and that's just, it's expensive. It's $320 an hour is our hourly rate starting in 2025. We do have probably about 10 municipalities that are on a more predictable retainer, so you just pay, we figure out, we look at what your legal fees have been over the past few years, and we have a scope, which is just kind of the day-to-day stuff, and within that scope, it's, you can budget for it, it's predictable, you know what it is, and that's the amount. And then if we have to go to court, though, something more of an unpredictable cost, that is not included. So we call that a scope of services agreement, where you get all of our services for one predictable cost based on your historical legal costs.
Be possible to get a copy of that before we make a final decision.
Of like an engagement letter that we've done with,
As you say, this spells out.
this is that what the
things.
scope is? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so we could understand the,
Yeah, definitely.
compare to our experience and see, that would be helpful.
I can do that.
Has your firm in recent history dealt with other municipalities where they've sold off properties with people living in them?
Yes. I have to kick somebody out right now.
And you're prepared to remove them before you sell it, or sell them with the person in it?
It depends. It really depends on the situation. Sometimes the buyer doesn't mind. Other times the buyer does mind. It really depends on the situation. But if they are in there, you want to get rid of them before you sell it, you go through the same process that a landlord goes through, the forcible entry and detainer process. And the sheriff does most of the work. What usually typically happens is I show up in court, and if they show up in court, we come to a written agreement and say, okay, we're going to give you 6 months, we're going to give you 2 weeks, we're going to give you whatever, pack up your stuff and get out. And if they don't, then the sheriff goes and actually removes them from the house.
So, I don't want to overstate it, but we were somewhat discouraged from doing that,
Oh, okay.
in the fact that we don't want to be known as a town that evicts people and steals their home from them. So we were encouraged to sell property with the tenant, with the owner staying there,
Yeah.
and the person buying it knowing full well that they're buying an occupied property.
Yeah.
I think we could, not that now it makes any more money, because we can't profit off it anyways.
Right.
So it might be easier to just sell them all with the person in it, because if you have to evict them, we have to pay for them.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody, whatever, depending on the timing, like I said, we have to give the leftover back to the person
Right. Assuming there's leftover.
assuming there's
You could be
leftover.
in a situation
that there
where
isn't.
you would get, you might have so much in back taxes that it's worth kicking the person out to make sure that you're fully compensated. So it probably depends on the situation. But it will cost you to kick somebody out, but those legal fees are also included in
Recoupable,
what you
yeah.
can keep. So.
What would be involved in a transition? Anything in particular?
So usually if, in towns where we've, assumed the role of town council, we communicate with prior council if there are outstanding court appeals or court cases. They usually stay with them because it doesn't make sense for us to get up to speed and jump in. But usually it's a fairly easy transition. You just start picking up the phone and calling me instead of the person you used to call. And if there's something that's ongoing that I need to know about, we're all very collegial in the bar, and we just call each other and say, hey, what were you working on? What's going on with this? And can you send me what you have? It's easy. It's an easy transition.
Have you had any success forcing MMA to take a claim as opposed to saying, no, we're not covering it? Have you found that there's been many that they've said, or persuaded?
I don't really do, so that's usually, typically when something gets to a tort claim, MMA picks their own lawyers, and it's usually not the town attorney. So we usually aren't even involved.
No, my question is more, we get served a lawsuit, we immediately send it to MMA
Yeah,
and our town attorney, and MMA has a habit of coming back and saying, sorry, not covered under your insurance, or for some reason this is not something they would cover and defend us on.
that's not actually my experience. Usually MMA just takes it and they go with one of their lawyers.
We've had a couple where they've told us we're not covered. I mean, so Gil, I don't know if it's, I know we're talking attorneys and we're trying to get some stuff. We're not looking for any free advice, but would it be appropriate to, I was gonna bring this up at the end of the meeting anyways.
Yeah, why not?
So there's all kinds of new laws around selling lots and selling property. Selling foreclosed properties. Are you dealing with a lot of towns on that
Yes.
with success?
Success, defined
Well,
how? I mean, I've
so
worked
here-
with
so I
towns
asked
for
the
years
question-
about selling foreclosed property. The rules have changed in terms of having to pay the former owners. Is that the rule you're talking about?
So we were served a
What's the
lawsuit today,
Oh,
okay?
okay,
Well, we were served as a party in interest, not a defendant.
okay.
The real estate broker that was sitting here, it's her.
Oh,
She bought 3 lots from us. They were purchased before the new law came into place. She clearly didn't do her due diligence beforehand. Bought the lots, agreed that she was getting a municipal quitclaim deed and was buying our interest in those properties only.
yep,
Now she's gone to start building houses and went to her title company to get some title insurance and deeds, and they told her they wouldn't give it to her for whatever the reasons. There was an owner of the lots that defaulted on them, he had a relative who was a mortgagee on them. So apparently there is some question in the title insurance company's mind whether they can give a clean title now that she's put up 2 foundations and a house. So we get served. She's suing the uncle and the nephew to basically a quiet title action is what it looks like. But as a party in interest, we have to respond. So it's going to cost us, we'll send it to MMA tomorrow, along with our attorney, and see what they say.
Right, so
And-
MMA would usually only cover like a tort claim, right? So that, I don't know if that would necessarily fall within.
So they're most like, I'm expecting MMA to deny it. And then now our attorney is going to have to, we'll spend some money,
Some, yeah.
not a lot. He's not going to have to get, hopefully not too deeply involved, but something. So that's what I'm wondering about these lots that are being sold, and are we going to find that other people are going to come back to bite us after the fact?
I mean, I'm just.
I know,
like,
I'm just.
I will say that that doesn't sound like it has anything to do with the new law about
Okay.
paying people. That could have happened, 10 years ago, last year, whenever.
All right.
It's never clean, and that's why all the bid is usually cash sales. You're not going to find someone with a mortgage buying foreclosed property without first quieting title. It usually doesn't happen. So.
But for these other lots, because we've slowed the process down now, but we have a lot, we want to continue to move forward with that as the year progresses. And what we've done in the past is we've sent all the information we have to the town attorney on a lot and said, are you comfortable with us selling this now with this information? You've had success getting that information from towns and saying yes, no.
I usually actually send you a checklist and say, fill out that checklist for me, because that's the checklist that says, I sent this letter this day, this is the certified receipt, I sent this, I did this, this is everything I did, it meets the foreclosure, I make you do the work.
Yeah, I'd rather do it here.
And then show me what the list looks like.
Okay.
Makes sense, we work together and get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Steve, you have a question? You just got to come up here. As long as it's relevant to this topic.
Ask you for your cell phone number.
Don't do it.
Don't give it.
So, in the past 3-4 years, we've had a lot of stuff going on. And appeals board would have one attorney, then we were told we couldn't have that attorney because the planning board had that attorney, so we gotta go find ourselves one. Then the next time we get this attorney, and they have to get somebody else, we just play TikTok all the time, so how does your firm handle that?
So that is just, that's a legal requirement, that's not a firm choice. So if I was actually just at a hearing in another town and I was accused by the appellant that I was playing both sides. That wasn't the case. So I'll give you an example of like a code officer, right? If the code officer on his or her own goes and issues a notice of violation and I know nothing about it, and then somebody appeals to the Board of Appeals, I will have the discussion with the town about, okay, do you want the code officer to go in there on his or her own and have me represent the board, or would you rather have me represent the code officer? Because if that happens, then you're probably, the board might want a lawyer, and then you're going to have to go get another lawyer. I can't do both, right? So I have that conversation up front to see what the situation is. But I can only do that if I did not help the code officer with the violations. If I have knowledge of those violations, I can't, in an unbiased fashion, then represent the board when someone's appealing a decision, because it technically, I might already have a preconceived opinion, and maybe I can't fairly represent the board. Same thing with the planning board. If I am representing the planning board and advising them somehow during their decision making and then it's appealed, I shouldn't be representing the Board of Appeals. typically, if I'm at a planning board, you know, it's a pretty, like, major project, and there's a reason I'm there. But, yeah, it's more of it's a legal requirement, it's not a firm choice.
So whoever calls you first.
Well, I have the open conversation, and we think about those next steps and say, where would you want me? In the end of all this, where do you want me? When it goes to court, it's always us, you know, and we're always defending the final decision of the town, no matter whether we agreed with it or not, you know. But it's always an open conversation to see where we think ahead. We think 10 steps ahead, and where do I want to land?
Okay, thank you. That was a good question, Steve. Okay.
We have another Dina's question.
Well, I'd like to ask the board a question, but if you listen. Help me understand a couple of things here. The lady, who is this person that's been representing the town? What's her name and what agency does she work for?
The real estate broker?
Yeah, no.
Oh, Casey Gray, Coastal Remax.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. She's been serving the town in selling a lot of these foreclosed properties.
All of them.
Oh, okay. Obviously, she's in the business to make money, so she's made money.
She's gotten a commission off every lot.
Okay. So in the meantime, she purchases some of those lots? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, those were done, those Land Drive lots were done before we engaged her to sell any lots. So the 3 lots on Land Drive were 3 that we sold prior to some of these new laws coming in.
Okay.
And we went into an agreement with her months and months and months ago to buy these lots.
Okay.
The town agreed to sell them to her.
Okay.
As a coincidence, when we were looking for brokers to sell our lots, she came forward as one of the 3, and we voted to work with her to sell the lots.
Okay, that clears up, and I don't think it makes much difference with what I'm about to ask you or say to you. If she purchased those lots, quitclaim deed, prior to you engaging her to represent the town to sell these properties, and she's now turning around and she's suing the town, is that what I was hearing, or she's suing the previous owners?
So the lawsuit is against,
Is the town named in that lawsuit?
so it is Southern Maine Modular, which is her company,
Right,
versus M.R. Edgley and Son Incorporated,
okay,
Leo D. Allaire and Lynette F. Allaire, defendants, and the inhabitants of the town of Limerick as a party in interest.
so the town is involved to some extent in answering to that complaint.
Correct.
Okay. Excuse me for being so blunt, but why in the hell is she still employed with us tonight? How could she come in here?
Well, we just got this today.
But you knew about it before she came in. She knew you had it.
Well, we knew about it late this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, she knew it was served to you. How
Yeah.
can someone come in here stand up here with a straight face, who's working for you, but has turned around and is suing you?
Well, we've entered into a contract with her, an agreement to sell lots. That's why I questioned her on whether we could, my question now is, if this person who should have all the knowledge bought their lots and find out that they get a problem after the fact and then sue somebody and include us as a party in interest, where does that put us with the rest of these? Are people going to be coming out of the woodwork left and right now? And if we got the last 2 that we have lingering, should we get out of the contracts now? Right? We don't,
Well,
I don't know.
I think
So,
you should end your
but-
contract with her.
Well, we
ASAP.
certainly can-
Whoever you're going to ask to do this.
Well, we're under a contract, we will ask our attorney, but we can't break our contract that we've already, the two don't correlate with each other. So this contract stands, this lawsuit stands. I don't think we could probably legally break our contract with her just because she decided to name us as a party in interest. Now, the town attorney will have to answer this. I've already talked to him. He said it will be a very brief, inexpensive answer. He said there's no reason to get involved. He hasn't seen, we've only seen this for a few minutes tonight, I mean, a few hours, I should say. I've scanned it very briefly, and in scanning it, it looks like most of where the town is mentioned, their attorney agreed that we did what we were supposed to do. And they just want a judge to say, the town did what they did correctly, and these two people didn't question any of it along the way, and they want to get a judge to say, these lots were legitimately foreclosed on by the town of Limerick, and okay to sell to Southern Maine Modular. And once the judge signs it, I think it's probably more of a, I won't say a scare tactic. I mean, I think it's, they know that, let's face it, we know these people, right? They know they don't deserve the lots back. Everybody knows what happened. But now they're trying to claw at one last straw that somebody found and hold her up for money.
I'm very disappointed that a contractor that we hired and we're paying good money to is turning around and it doesn't matter to me if she bought it before she was an employee or not. I mean, this is disgusting. I don't know how she could have come up here with a straight face and spoke to you people tonight. And just one more question. I know you had mentioned a while ago that you were asking for your attorney to review all these foreclosed properties before, because you wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be an issue. So I'm guessing that somewhere in your file, you have this is okay by so-and-so Esquire.
The attorneys have been looking at these properties for years.
Right.
To confirm that yes. And in the end, we sell a municipal quitclaim deed, which is whatever we have or we believe we have for right, title, and interest in that property. If, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not gonna look for free to give advice again, but if we screwed up, I don't know what our liability is, I don't know, if any. So that's for our attorney to answer.
Okay.
But yes, I would certainly, if we look to contract to sell some more lots, I think the least we would have been nice, would have been a shot across the bow that, listen, her to say, I screwed up. I didn't do all my due diligence first. I'm now in a mess because of what somebody else caused. I am going to be bringing a lawsuit against the previous owners, and my attorney has advised me to name the town as a party in interest. A phone call, an email last week when she was standing here, I think that would have been the professional and respectful thing to do. Is a sheriff's going to be coming to your window in the next week and serve you, and you're going to be shocked by a lawsuit. That professional courtesy didn't come. So I would certainly think twice as we move to sell lots in the future, whether this is somebody we want to do business with. For right now, I don't know there's anything we can do, but we certainly can change that moving forward.
I'll amplify that a little bit. When this process came around, we were interested in agents that would handle this situation for us. And so we put it out. We had 3 different firms bid. So I'm sure when it comes time to put some more houses on the market, we can reintroduce that bid request. And if they're one of the 3, we'll have this on the back of our minds. We know how we were treated.
So you do have, other than those 2 properties that were mentioned earlier this evening, you don't have to sell anymore with her?
We're not contracted with her for anything else other than these. But moving forward, once these play out and we've digested some of this, we want to move forward with another batch.
So someone will be handling it. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll be that person, even if they come with a bid and, a presentation to us, we'll have this in the back of our mind of, we'll know where we were treated.
But if she's in real estate, she knows darn well that when you buy a property, quitclaim deed, that's exactly what it is, a municipal quitclaim deed. If there's other things behind it, and she doesn't do her homework, that's not the town's fault.
She's working very closely with Stan on some of these issues, so.
Well, I'm gonna reserve my comment on that, but, thank you.
I don't think so. We'll just look for that, scope review, and then we'll make some decisions going forward. Thanks for your time. Okay, Lisa, yes.
I forgot to mention, I should have brought the list. The event, call it the Time Capsule Birthday Party, is under the limit of Parks and Rec, because they have the insurance. Just so that you know that.
Okay, thanks.
Gil, because we brought this up, I want to make a motion that we forward the summons and complaint from Southern Maine Modular to both MMA and our current town attorney tomorrow.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, let's get
Can
it
you
done.
put it in a combined email, so if they do decline us, it goes back to Ben also?
Okay, moving into the old business, the Cemetery Mowing and Veterans Cemetery Committee, we have nothing new this week. And the Budget 2025 update review, we've got some new requests for some things to be included. I guess there's a request from the Historical Society for some funding to do some work in the newly acquired Congregational Church building. Okay, and there's a note here about Lake Arrowhead sign, about Lake Arrowhead, but I don't see any correspondence in here about that.
It's attached to the same email, same as the historical society.
Okay, I didn't turn the page. Okay.
I don't think we can do any more on budgeting. The recommendations are all in for everything else, and it's due to be, before today, but definitely in the morning. We don't have time for the budget committee to make a decision on any of it.
Nope.
Unfortunately.
Okay, well, with that discussion, it seems started, we would need a motion to, include the Historical Society and Lake Society additions. I would need a motion and a second to have any further discussion, or is there such a motion?
I make a motion, this is for discussion only, enter these two requests to the March warrant.
Oh, second.
Okay, discussion.
I think at this point, with it having to be due tomorrow and we can't make the budget committee, they don't have a chance to make a recommendation. I don't think that we'll be able to add these to the warrant or change the one for Secaucus or the lakes, unfortunately.
These could always be addressed at a later point, but instead of ending up in March. So
This, I mean, while we're discussing it, this says that Pickle Pond is much smaller and has no public boat landing. Pickle Pond has a public boat launch, right? Didn't we, the only one that went down was Lake Arrowhead, wasn't it? Or what did we do last year? Just,
So Lake Arrowhead normally and Secocas have both gotten 3,000. Pickerel Pond was getting 1,500. We decreased Secocas and Lake Arrowhead each by 500 and upped Pickerel Pond 2,500 because they had asked for more money. So now they're all getting 2,500. It was this 7,500.
yeah, total, yeah, okay.
So they've been lowered by 500, so then they came back. So you can see my response at the bottom.
Yeah,
And then they came back with that at the top, so.
yeah. Well, again, we can't change it now anyways.
Right.
Well, we've had
All right.
discussion,
That's for that one. Now I'm gonna be the real mean guy.
Do we have to vote first? Or, oh, that
No,
was
we're
just.
still in discussion.
Sorry, my bad.
Only, I mean, I'm gonna speak for myself, and only so they can maybe do some planning to move forward. Even if we could put the $5,000 on for the Congregational Church, I would be against it. The Historical Society does a ton of really good work. I appreciate everything they do. But they are burdened with buildings they can't afford. We helped them with the building on the hill last year. And now they've chosen to take on another great project that is a great building that was used to its max on Saturday, and was worked perfectly. But to take on another building when they've asked for money for the previous buildings, I don't think is something we should be supporting. So that's my 2 cents. I know it's not going to be popular with some people, but they have control over the Moore Building, the Academy, and now they've chosen to take on the Congregational Church. Maybe if there's a plan in place to consolidate and divest of something, maybe we could consider it then, but, and I'm only saying that knowing we can't put it on the ballot anyways. But if they're looking to make these changes and they are maybe hopeful that we can get it on the ballot later, I'm just giving my opinion, but there's gonna be before we get another vote, there'll be another whole new board and they may be successful in getting the money.
Lisa, yeah.
As the Limerick Historical Society has been formed, the Moore Building is being sold. So, and we're fine with that.
The Moore Building's being sold?
We don't have that?
By who?
We're moving the Moore Building into the church, into the office, so the office stuff is there.
Back up. Who's told the Historical Society that the Moore Building's being sold?
The town.
Who from the town?
Sean,
Sean who?
Harris,
Is not from the town. He's a citizen. Well, that would be like, that Steve's gonna buy the brick town hall,
we are
the old one.
moving
So,
the Moore Building into the church office for all the historical papers, maps, all that stuff. And then, like the tables and stuff, we're gonna put it up to the academy, using the academy more as a museum, which we needed the bathroom because you always have to go to the bathroom when you're out visiting.
Has anybody employed or voted in from the town of Limerick told the Historical Society that we are selling the Moore Building? No. Elected official or representative of the town, because this is the first time hearing of it.
John Carroll carries a lot of weight in this town, you know it, I know it.
well,
But it's fine, and we discussed this, because we don't want another building. We don't need the other building. We want to move the Moore Building into the church, bringing it down to that, and the museum aspect at the academy, towards a museum of this town. This town is.
So I
I
won't,
think it's funny.
I don't-
I've heard it from John.
well, I'm not,
Oh, I don't think it's
I'm not
funny.
gonna
I
be-
just,
okay, I know.
React to
Well-
what was being said.
I'm not gonna be disingenuous enough to say that I didn't know that my brother-in-law had interest in the Moore Building. I do know that to be a fact, okay?
He was supposedly getting a petition for it.
And to buy the building, he needs to go about a certain way, and I don't believe he's done any of it yet. It's either gotta be by a vote of the people. If this board decided to sell it to him or anybody else, we would have to put it out to a vote of the people, or he would have to put it out to petition to get on a ballot.
But
And-
also, we are reacting proactively. We don't need the Moore Building, where we have the big office at the church.
Yeah,
So we bring it down to 2 buildings. The academy is a museum. The church, when it warms up, I'll put the sign up, but it says Congregational Church, home of Limerick Historical Society, is what the sign outside will say. But that's to have, we do events, we did Christmas concert, Halloween, craft fairs, to help. We've already repaired the roof at the church, so.
my understanding was the church came with an endowment, is that correct?
Hattie Hayes, one of us. It is to help keep the upkeep. $60,000 in it.
Okay. So when the Sorors got the church, they also received $60,000 in a trust for the upkeep. Okay.
Yes. We've had the inspection, the foundation's in great shape, the furnaces are in great shape, the roofs are in good shape. At some point, they will have to be done. Steeplejacks did part of the church itself just a few years ago. But yeah, our plan is we're moving more into the office. It won't happen this spring because it's cold. And we're all a bunch of old ladies.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, thank you, Lisa. I had heard some rumors that there was interest in, in having that building sold, but I hadn't heard of anything definitive other than just interest.
Well,
So,
I'm glad we were heads up so that we can be proactive.
yeah, good.
Instead of being blindsided, we've made plans with how we can do things.
the only reason I asked is I had no knowledge of that. That's why I asked that question. I wasn't trying to be facetious or anything. I just didn't know anything about that.
Gail? Yeah, I know. Gail, you got something on this? Yes. Please, okay.
May I ask who is the president of the Historical Society right now?
I'm sorry.
Who is the president of the?
Martha.
Martha Hamilton.
Co-president.
Martha Hamilton. Martha Hamilton is aware of what you just said.
Correct.
Okay. Martha Hamilton signed a letter 2 years ago that she took to the Board of Trustees. It was taken to the Board of Trustees, was our understanding that, and this was probably before you bought the church. I'm not sure if you bought it, however you got it, acquired it, that you wanted the Moore Building. And we, the Building Advisory Committee, made recommendations based on that, and I'm disappointed that the town wasn't aware of what you just said, given the fact that you wrote this, that she wrote and signed this letter after talking to the trustees. That's not a real good communication thing, guys, okay? When we're working towards something, and because you changed your mind or you've acquired something, or, why didn't you write a letter, and you can ask Martha that, saying you're no longer interested? you know, it's a shame that you had to come here. And, but John, you can put that for sale sign up now, I guess. Thank you.
Not me.
Okay, moving on. Oh, okay, yes, we do have a motion and a second. Okay, so then I guess we're voting all in favor of adding this $5,500 from the two items onto the warrant. So all in favor? Opposed? Okay, well, I guess we'll encourage them to come back later and reapply.
Things to consider at an appropriate time.
Okay, next item is to change the public hearing from February 10th to February 3rd. Is there a motion to do so?
I make a motion we move the public hearing of the March warrant from February 10th to February 3rd at 6 p.m.
Second. Okay, discussion.
I think the purpose is so that we can all five board members could be here, so we can go over it.
Okay, good reason. Okay, all in favor? Okay, February 3rd. Gail.
So February 3rd is how many weeks before the vote?
5, give or take?
5 weeks, 5, 6 weeks? Is it possible to have a second meeting closer to March, whatever, 14th, is it?
We try to have it before absentee ballots.
Absolutely, but can't you have a second one? Like, whatever you say on February 3rd won't be remembered by March 14th. Just asking. Thank you.
We could be done, but okay, next item is the garden liability waiver, and I brought that up last week, and I was waiting on a copy of a waiver from another entity, and I have not received that, so I'll try and follow that up and see if we can make sure the town is protected from any activity over there. Okay, next item is discussion of direct deposit. And so we've got Julie to take the floor on that subject.
Good evening and thank you. The subject came up at the last meeting or so, and to see if we legally or feasibly could ask all of our employees to do direct deposit through the new payroll company. And I reached out to the legal services of MMA, and I found out there was a publication back in October of 2005. And the lady that helped me, she sent me the documentations on the electronic wages, and also how the state is doing it and the verbiage so that we could put it into our policy. In the quick of what she stated, it says the town is able to make direct deposit mandatory for all employees. The only exception is if the employee is not able to withdraw the total amount of their check for whatever bank account they have in the town deposit without incurring an additional cost. The employee is able to request a different method of payment, a paper check. It is pretty unlikely that the employee would be charged for these fees for withdrawal of his funds. And also, if the payroll is doing their benefit of their part, it's done on Monday or Tuesday, and the money is in there Tuesday night, and as per our personnel policy, payday is Thursday. So even when we had some checks that had to go out, we still got them paid on Thursday. She's I'm copying below the legal note that the city's cite to law that follows the town to require direct deposit, and I'm also including the links to the state's direct deposit policies, and their employees frequently ask questions to help. The statement from the state says there's a new state law government the payments of wages electronically, PL 2005-89. It went into effect on September 17th, 2005. Amends the definitions of wages in the MSR 26-663 and 5 by adding wages paid through direct deposit system, an automated teller machine, ATM card, or other means of electronic transfer. The electronic payment of wages is lawful, provided the employee can make a further initial withdrawal of the entire amount of net pay without any additional cost. I guess that would be up to the individuals to check with their banks, seeing as how we have so many, or whatever the town wishes, if I should call the banks each individually, but we have substantial number of banks and credit unions. The new law also requires the employer to provide the employees with accurate record, of the transfer, including the date of the payment, their hours, and their regular earnings, and itemized at the time of the transfer. In other words, that would be your check stub that you would get on a paperwork. They can get that emailed if they provide emails to the employer, because there is a cycle in the process to get them emailed. So, and this goes back to state, all employees employed prior to January 1st receive their pay by direct deposit and shall to be enrolled in the direct deposit in the future. This is the mandatory direct printout from the state, out of the state controller, state administrative and accounting manual, and it's cited, and I have copies of it, and I've given it to Alicia as well. So I think you get your wishes that we can push to have direct deposit, and that way we don't have to cut actual checks. Any questions?
I don't have any questions on that, but I have a couple other questions while you're there.
Do you want me to send an email now to department heads clarifying that, or Julie?
I think it should come from Julie,
Well, I just
with
wanna
your
make
help, yeah.
sure.
Make sure that you have all the correct contacts to get it to everybody and tell them that direct deposit is a must.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on that at all? I don't know if that's a thing.
Well,
And,
it's-
go ahead.
We should put it in the personnel policy.
I agree, and that will help. And it's my understanding, like the way that I understand what you read, is that if their bank charges a fee to withdraw the amount, that the individual can request payment a different way. I don't think that that means you have to go calling the banks.
No.
So here would be my concern. There's all these internet banks and debit cards nowadays.
Chime card and so
A
on.
chime card. So if somebody puts their money into a chime account and they have to take that money out of an ATM and get charged
Fee.
a $1.50 fee, does that mean we have to give them a paper check? Because that's a fee to get their money,
If they request it,
if they request what?
a paper check.
They have to request it.
They would have to request a paper check.
Request a
Yeah.
different, an alternative means.
So there may be some of these,
If I go to an ATM right now with my regular bank account, I have to pay a fee though.
Unless it's your bank.
but unless it's your bank, or if you use partners, you can go to the bank, or you can,
Correct.
local banks you can go to. These Chime and Western Union cards and all these debit cards that people get their money on now. I mean, some people get their money put on a Venmo card.
So you're saying they don't have an account or bank?
They never come to the bank, they've got a Chime account,
Okay, yeah.
and that's where their money goes. I mean, they have a routing number, and they have an account number, so their direct deposit can go, and they got their Chime card,
Yes.
and that's how they get their money. And
But
if,
wouldn't that fee be part of their processing fee with Chime?
And not-
I don't
that's,
know.
but that's a cost to them to get their money.
Yeah.
And that law says if there is a cost to them to get their money, they can request a paper check.
Or an
I'm just saying, there's so much of this that have to come and ask. There's just so many of these now that,
We have one in Chime.
one in Chime, okay?
I was gonna say, a small town like Limerick probably doesn't have that, but prove me wrong. It's me. No.
Just one note, all the employees have to sign that, you can't have just a one statement.
No, right, they have to give us their information and sign a paper, we have that.
Yeah.
And I already have the new form.
Yep.
From the bank, from the company that's doing our payroll.
It's only one or two, it's better than.
Yeah, no, I agree, I'm just
In the right
saying,
direction.
we just may not be 100%, yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
communicate that clearly and see what people do with it. I mean, some
Yep.
people might think that the fee's worth it.
So I make a motion, we make a change to the personnel policy to, I don't want to say demand, but implement,
Yeah.
make mandatory all payroll be done through electronic transfer in accordance to state law,
Do you wanna
state
put a timeline?
statute.
Timeline of when it has to be done by?
I would say January 1st, but. I'm just- just
13 days
kidding,
later.
just kidding.
How many paper checks are you doing right now?
It depends on if it's per diem and the other stipends, there's more that way. Normally about 5 or 6.
Okay, other than the payroll company.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not,
February 1st? I mean, is
yeah,
that a
I
reasonable
would
date?
say by February 1st.
I will second that motion.
Can we change it? What if we did it by April 1st? I mean, people are going to be changing roles after the election or not. I mean, I don't know if that makes
Well,
sense.
there's only 5 or 6 that she's
No,
doing.
okay, fine.
Oh,
You're
so-
right.
And that would be part of the new policy when you
Yeah.
on board,
Somebody's new comes in, it's new.
Yeah,
They're gonna do
reasonable.
anything.
just like the health insurance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Motion in a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Any other?
I do. So, no, when you came on board, who went to the bank with you to put you on our accounts? Laura?
Yeah.
So you went with her to do that?
Yeah.
Who
It's on it with me?
was on it with you?
Judy.
So you and Judy are the only two people that
Yes.
can sign checks?
Yeah.
By law, is that state law that the treasurer and the deputy are the only ones?
I don't know if it's a state law, but it's standard operating procedures to have it. I would like to see one selectman, and it's just a matter of getting other cards.
I would agree.
Select person.
And part of the reason is so I made a request last week for some information.
And I'm
I know you are, and I'm not saying I asked for the,
history on
after
two accounts.
after some conversations last week, we're trying to figure out what kind of account the ambulance revenue money is in. I personally thought it was in a checking account. I think I'm wrong.
The money market.
Heard today for the first time that it's a money market. Everybody else called it a CD. So there's been some transfers that should have made, so that the fire chief knows what he has to deal with. I asked for 3 years' history of whatever account it's in from the bank. That shouldn't take a week to get. That should take 5 minutes to get. And I'm not. I know
Can
you made
explain
you
why?
made the request. So yeah.
I made the request, they sent the basic logistics of the one that doesn't even show on my printout, what is left there every month. It did not show the larger sum of the entire account. I had to go through the bank with 3 different people today to find out where that was and to get a copy of it. I have the copies, I've down printed them, I have quickly scanned over them. I don't see what you asked for as being done, but it was the last thing of the day that I got because it took so long to print out 3 years' receipts, these bank statements. And what you've asked, I don't see. But there are some deposits. And I also wanted to ask one question. When you said the money that goes in there, it's comes out is $25,000 to go yearly to
Debt
depreciate.
service,
To go to the debt service. Where is that money come from? Is that rescue billing or is that subscriptions?
so my understanding is that the subscriptions end up in rescue billing.
In that
And
account?
I want to make sure that that's what we voted on and that the town agreed. The problem is, we get money in every month from rescue billing. Again, I don't know, you can tell me what you've done since you've been here, but my understanding is that money sat basically, let's say, in our general account until the end of the year, and then that transfer was made once a year. I'm talking in the past.
Yes, and it
Okay.
was not.
It was not done that way, or it was?
Was not.
Was it transferred every month?
No, it was in the middle of the year.
These accounts we have, we should be able to know, like, on a daily basis, what's there. And at least at the end of the month. So the rescue billing money, which is a huge amount, should have every month, whatever account is holding that money, every month should grow by those revenues that come in.
Okay.
And if we have to pay an intercept, we can then just take it out of that same account.
Okay.
And it should be done monthly. Not at the end of the year, not mid-year. We agreed as a town to take a large sum of money, $122,000 out of there, to put towards the fire station. And the question I've asked for a year now was, I understand that perhaps the journal entries were made, but was the actual cash ever transferred from this separate, secret money market CD checking account that's held somewhere? Was the actual cash taken out and moved to our general account where we paid the bills for the fire station?
The 122
2,000.
was.
It was.
Yes.
Okay?
But
Perfect.
nothing has gone the other way.
The other way since. Okay. So ideally, we would get that we can get that 3-year history,
You got it?
and we can take a look at it. I'm glad you think that someone else should be on the account, because not for me, but I would make a motion that we put the chair of the board. I don't think it makes any sense to do now, but starting in March, on the account. So if a board member has a question, they can bring it to the chair, and the chair can go to the bank and say, how much money do we have? What's in this account? What's in that account? Signing checks is fine if that's part of it, but they should have access to the information.
If you have I can get them their own passwords so that you can go through the bank and see it online. And that's where I'm finding out the current history. But with their new program, I can't go back any farther. They had to generate it for me. And by them generating the first one with that actual account number, and it didn't show the 6 digits, I went back and says, okay, I've got this, but you don't show it. And so they went back and told me where to find it, and then the computer gentleman forwarded it all 3 years to me, and I downloaded all of them this afternoon. And the reason you don't have any warrants is the payroll company was still working on the payroll when I came in here for the meeting tonight. And you'll have your warrants tomorrow as well. They're not very large, I don't believe. So you'll have all 3 of those tomorrow.
Okay. You mentioned to me on the 8th of January that some things were not balancing in Trio, and that there were some issues with has that been rectified?
No, sir, it has
That
not.
has not.
No, the account is
So-
still sitting on my desk, and it's my fault I did not have a chance to call today. That's on the list to do in the morning. No, it is not ratified.
Okay, I mean, we can't,
No, I understand.
I know, we can't start 2025 how we ended 2024.
No, sir.
And we're in the first 13 days now with accounts not balancing and not to where you feel that, I'm assuming you got a good grasp on them, right? Because you told me they don't balance. Your numbers and Trio's numbers don't balance.
That was in effect in the daily receipts, the GL balances, but when you bring it up, it says it's out of balance. And they couldn't find it when we were on the phone, and they said they'd call me back, so.
Okay, so I don't profess to know, I don't know anything about Trio. I don't know how it works, how it balances or doesn't balance, but when I am concerned that you're concerned that it's not balancing. So I think we need to try to make it a priority to fix that and get it so at the end of January, we have some reports that we can look at and trust and like the numbers we see.
Yes, sir. I
All
can
right.
do that. Anything else?
I'm set, thank you.
If a select board member is on the signature cards, I'll call it, of a bank, representing the town of Limerick, are they a deputy and are they bonded?
They are not a deputy and they do not have to be bonded.
But they can have access to the checking account and sign checks?
Technically.
They won't be signing checks. They want, John just stated he wanted access to the.
So we need to, if in
The
fact,
access you can
if-
transfer.
if in fact, I don't know the bank will allow access for information without being on a signature card. If a select board member, the chair, goes on the signature card, they will have to be bonded before they get on there. That is definite, no question.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, and aren't they a deputy at that point?
No.
I don't know, and we're gonna have to check. I mean, I'm fairly confident we can do this, but it might be a legal question, but
And then you're gonna change it every year. You know, I mean,
we may have, I don't,
My predecessor, where I came from, the town administrator did not have to be my deputy.
but had access.
He had access.
Okay, so I think it's important that somebody other than the treasurer has that access. And if it has to be changed every year, that's
That's what we.
a piece of the pie we gotta do. I mean, I don't know.
It's not that, probably a signature card, yeah.
I think it's more important that we have that access than we worry about the time or the effort it's gonna take to change it once a year.
but they would be bonded because
If-
where she worked before, that person was bonded, right? The town administrator was bonded. Are you all bonded?
We are not now, but if they became a member, if they became a signator on the account, we would get them, they would be bonded.
Change that every year too.
You'd have to check, whether they can keep it uniform that it's the chairperson on our bonding, I don't know. Whether it has to be per person or not, but we would, it's an effort, it's an exercise we're gonna have to go through if we think this is important.
Yep, thank you.
Howard.
I see absolutely no need why you people should be involved in this. She is elected to take care of our funds. Okay? You're not elected, you're looking to oversee the funds, but not to expend the funds. But as far as, I know I wouldn't want my name on that card. You know, she's responsible for all the money. If she's got a deputy, keep it that way. So nobody's looking and questioning and so forth and so on. You don't need to ask.
Okay, thank you.
The only concern I have, you drop dates tomorrow.
What do you do for deputy? There is a second person.
Don't think it hurts to have a third person. Has a check and balances for everybody.
Once I'm gone, the deputy's position is gone too by MMA. I don't know, I would ask the bank tomorrow for you and I will be in touch. And I also call legal and MMA to ask them how we would do that. But I do know if I drop dead, my deputy's term is,
Ends with you,
yes.
because they're not
Okay, don't drop dead.
interesting.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
How did I try to get it all? Oh, come on.
Okay, Gail.
A deputy of the treasurer cover all of the tasks of the treasurer?
What I assign the deputy is what they cover. They do not have to know everything that I do according to the manual.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on to new business. Or do we have a?
We got a motion.
Yeah.
We got a motion on the table to
To
add the board chair to all bank accounts owned by the town, starting after the March election.
Okay, all in favor?
Can I make a recommendation on that? You might want to rescind it till next week, let me make some phone calls.
We're not enacting it until March.
Okay, okay.
So if we find out we can't, then we're all, so you got till March to figure it out, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, we have no municipal deeds left to sign. I believe we took care of Casey when she was here with the ones that are needed. Okay, we have a standard operating procedure to review. This was can I borrow that? I had to give mine away. This had to do with some year-end reporting requirements for the treasurer that I understood had not been done in the past and wanted to put this together. So this standard operating procedure was put together for franchise fee capital equipment reserve recording. And so I believe we all have received a copy, and this is just whether we want to approve adding this standard operating procedure. So I will see if there's a motion if we accept the standard operating procedure as written. Well, I need a motion and a second before we can have discussion.
I make a motion, for discussion purposes, approve the standard operating procedure 0002.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
No, we want discussion.
Discussion, okay, I'm sorry. Julie, you have some discussion on this?
I just received this afternoon, so to get a copy to read it. I'd like to ask on number 4, and it says the treasurer is fully responsible, but if you're reading before, the departments generate the purchase order and code where the billing is going. The treasurer is not supposed to be doing that by your purchase order policy anymore. And if you're going down to number 6, number B, who is providing the manual? I have no such manual from Trio. Only have what I've gone to training. When you're looking at page 1 of the workflow, doesn't that, if I understand or seeing how the town is being run, don't both of those have to be voted on as a procedural policy? for moving money from point A to point B. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I think we've already voted to move a certain percentage on a regular, so that's done. So in 2013, we agreed to move 30% of the franchise fees to capital equipment. So that's already been done.
In 2013?
In 2013, it's on the first page. So first of all, I think we should, I know this just came out tonight, I think we should, I wouldn't recommend voting on it tonight until we have a chance to better look at it. And I think more importantly, this is now going to be our second standard operating procedure. We don't really have a standard operating procedure policy, or should these be, instead of SOPs, be a policy? I don't know. I mean, do we need some approval to have a standard operating procedure manual? I mean, if we're going to start building on these, how do we, you know?
I foresee it more as being documentation, or, and my demise that somebody else already would know what's going on for a paper trail. Doesn't necessarily have to be an SOP, but just like you have a manual for, say, for Isaac on all the hazardous materials in this building and what to do for them. I'm presuming that's still practice.
Let's have that, yeah.
Well, the one thing that I really think that this is important for is if these aren't, like this, you've mentioned many items that you said, I didn't know that's the way you did it, right? So over the course of your 8 or 9 months here, if we had a standard operating procedure manual, yeah, so you could look at this and say, okay, in 2013, this is why we move 30% of the money. So I think it's a great idea for transition. I'm happy to that we start a SOP manual. I mean, I assume we can just do it. It's, so I just would like to take a look at it instead of just getting it tonight, but I think it's important that people, department heads, and even employees that have some issues or some information that they think should be an SOP that could help transition, help you, help anybody else. If we feel it's valid, it makes sense to put in there and just categorize it no different than we do the policy manual based on what they are. So.
Thank you.
2013, did that sunset in 13, or is it a year?
I would have to read it.
The last page looks better, you know, or
The last paragraph?
Last sentence of the article on page 1.
The 2013.
yeah, it probably says something to the effect of repeal or.
Transfer to the public communications technology capital account will be made yearly. This will stay in effect until appealed or amended.
Right, it's the same thing we ran into with the COLA one. That was just,
Just want to make sure it's in there.
Yep. You see that, it's right on reference documents, under A.
Oh, there it is, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's defer this for another week till we have time to review it.
Do we with?
We have a motion, a second.
Okay, well, all in favor? All opposed? We'll come back next week. I know Alicia, could you get me a new copy of this? I gave mine to, to Julie, so she'd know what we were talking about. Okay, next item is the addition to the personnel policy at Vinnie's request for changing some holiday pay issues, some per diem holiday pay. Do we all have a copy of that? Yeah. guess on this paper, we've got some things and, you know, after a number of items here, it says add, so I'm assuming that the ones that he has add on here are not part of the, excuse me, current list, and we need to add these to them.
They're just holidays that we don't have part of per diem.
Looks like all federal holidays.
They're all federal holidays, they just weren't part of the per diem holidays to get paid.
Yeah, we're adding Martin Luther King Day, Juneteenth, Easter,
Independence Day and night.
Indigenous Peoples' Day, so we're just bringing the list up to date with federal holidays.
Just for per diem, we haven't for the others.
Right.
And the town
Saying
closed
that
one.
the per diem isn't included in those holidays, and that's what he's asking for the addition for.
Yes, that's where we got the list from.
I make a motion, we approve the per diem holiday paydays as requested by the fire chief and have those reported to the payroll company
And included in the personnel policy?
and included in the personnel policy.
Okay, we need a second before we can have discussion. Okay, now, Lisa, floor is yours.
The item I'm questioning is Easter. Easter is a religious holiday. It's not a federal holiday. I know.
I might have misspoken when I said federal.
Many
Yeah.
Easters in the hospital, and I didn't get extra pay. I wish, but I didn't.
I might have misspoken when I said federal. I don't know if it's
Issue
just
with that.
town.
Well, Christmas is a religious holiday, is it not? I mean, there are many religions that don't celebrate Christmas.
What I will say, in the state of Maine, I think Easter, like retail stores and everything, are required to close. That is one, I don't know why. You're also not allowed to hunt on Sundays, but for religious reasons, I think is what it goes back to. So, I think religious holiday, yes, but
Good point.
And also in the personnel policy, I believe states to the fact that
Easter's only, observed for the employees that are scheduled to work on that Sunday. So we don't here get that as pay. We don't get Easter. Not the working, but per diem, yeah.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second, so all in favor of accepting the new per diem holiday pay schedule? Yeah, are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining, yep.
Yeah.
He does already have this in his budget, so this isn't new to,
Right.
we just needed to change it, and it just came knowledge because of payroll.
Okay, the next item is changes of accounts on previous warrant approval. Is that the old,
So there are just a couple things I want you to sign off on that we will have Julie change their accounts. There are a couple things that were paid that came out that you guys had voted for differently,
okay,
which is 2 copies of 2 warrants.
okay, I've got it. And were the ones with the X on them? Okay, and this is from the December 13th, 2024 warrant, and it's got an item here for Southern Maine undercar. And what was the issue with that?
They were to be paid out of code fees, that's what the vote was, and they were paid out of pennies.
Okay.
Oh, to change it, okay.
So it's just a matter of getting the information to Julie for her to, yeah. Okay, that's one, and the other item is under, that's also Southern Maine undercar, that's from December 30th, 2024. So there's two payments.
The vote was to fix the utility truck, and the vote was to pay those out of code fees. But as you can see, they came out of these.
So it's just a matter of getting this information to Julie to make the
I
change.
just wanted you to initial that, and then she can have that copy.
Okay. Do we need a motion to?
I don't think so, because you've already.
We already approved it, yeah.
Yeah, so we're just
You know that
modifying.
when paid is done. I had caught that with, when I was looking at what we paid at, wanted to pay out of code fee.
Okay, so you'll get that back initialed and you'll be able to deal with Julie to get it. Okay. Okay, the next item is discussion on CEO being sworn into special liaison.
So when we had as we went through selling a lot of these lots, and Stan was given some of the responsibility, it was clearly outside the purview of his job as CEO or constable. So we made him the special liaison to the board to deal with assessing issues, which include foreclosures and the selling of the lots. There's been, I guess, some question whether he needs to be sworn in as that position. It was basically a addition to his job description. I don't think we didn't create a new position. We just authorized him to deal with the broker and the attorneys to make sure these lots were ready to sell and to work through the process. I don't know why he would have to be sworn in. So I believe the town clerk has the question of whether he needs to be sworn in or not.
And I did also.
Okay?
Okay, got it. I saw Dean and then Howard's hand.
It seems to me that Stan has quite a bit of responsibilities as code enforcement officer and building inspector and animal constable. I guess I'm confused as to why one of you folks aren't in that role, because isn't part of the title to your job assessor? So shouldn't one of you be doing that role versus adding something onto him?
Well, a lot of it had to do with things he was already doing that were bringing in, money for back taxes. So it was just kind of a recognition of what he was already doing and just, letting him know we appreciate,
Well, I don't know
his.
his job description, but it seems like that's kind of working outside of his purview.
That's why we authorized him to do it. Because it was outside his purview as code officer.
But why? I don't understand why, when there's 5 of you that have been elected as selectman, assessor, and overseer of the poor. Assessor is part of the job, and there's 5 of you, why it's being put on him?
Why wouldn't you ask, why do we hire O'Donnell Associates?
We're not talking about O'Donnell Associates, we're talking about,
We hired them as our assessing agent.
I'm not talking about O'Donnell's, I'm
Okay.
talking about a current employee
Yeah.
being asked to do work which involves assessing. If that's the case, then if O'Donnell's is responsible for it all, then he shouldn't have any part of it.
Who shouldn't? Stan shouldn't? Well, O'Donnell's wouldn't deal with the selling of foreclosed lots. I guess if we asked him to, we probably could pay them to do what Stan did. Or, I don't know, it was for a long period of time. I'm not gonna say a full-time job, but with the number of lots that we put out to sell, I don't know that any one of us could have possibly had the time to do what needed to be done. I mean, some of the research went back 50, 60, 80 80 years. I mean,
But choosing
it would be almost a full-time job.
Well, I think a lot of people are,
He offered. He started with working
Stan
on,
offered to do it. So it wasn't, the board didn't go looking and ask Stan, Stan offered to do it.
he had some experience from what I understand or
Oh, yeah.
recall from working in Leamington, and he started to assist with some of the, I think we had tax liens, people wanting to make payment plans. And then we just progressed from there. And again, like Alicia said, he offered and he kind of went the extra mile on it. And like John said, we recognized him for it and we
Which is great.
continued to accept his help on it.
It wasn't just, we didn't like beg him or force him to do it, so.
I think a lot of people will agree that these properties should be sold, and that's fine. But if grabbing an enormous amount of properties to list right away is too time consuming, then perhaps it could have been narrowed down to a few. So it could be handled here. It concerns me that the folks that are the ultimately responsible, I mean, you do sign those deeds, you should have your hands in that versus another person outside of, between you folks and O'Donnell's. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to say I can do it, but just my opinion, I think it should have stayed here.
So what we asked of him, what he volunteered to do, and then we recognized he was doing it and realized he should have some authority from us to do it. That's why we appointed him. And part of our request to him was that all the information he came up with before we listed a lot for sale, or however, now you have to sell them. We can't auction them anymore because of state law.
Right.
We asked him to send everything to the town attorney, which is a reimbursable expense, to make sure that all our ducks were in a row and everything was done properly. Basically what he was doing is mostly research and pulling together old deed information, all of the foreclosure notices, everything that went out certified, pulling that all together, packaging it up to send to the attorney to make sure the lot was lined up to be sold.
Well, isn't Dottie, I mean, isn't that part of her role as the assistant down there as well?
Yeah, she certainly assisted him in this 100%.
Well, I will say that I know myself and others are in Stan's office regularly on a weekly basis and get updates from him on all this. So we're not flying blind. We're in discussion.
All right, well, that's just my opinion.
Okay, Howard.
Just to add to what Dean just said, I can remember when you and I were on the board together in Wyndham. I specifically remember one Saturday, us getting together and driving around all those properties we were gonna sell.
Yes.
That was our responsibility. We didn't shrug it off on somebody else.
Did you go do the deed research? Did you pull up all?
Deed research back then.
Well, now we have to. It's not 1980 anymore. The rules have changed, the laws have changed.
Okay, so that's the attorney's business as far as.
We could send it to the attorney at $2.75 an hour and have them do it, or we could have it done in that office for significantly less and send it to the attorney for review.
But what says that he isn't gonna make a mistake?
That's why we sent it to the attorney for review.
But the thing about it is, you are responsible for those. He isn't, John. That's what's missing here. You're overseeing all that stuff.
Overseeing, not micromanaging,
Duties
not
to him.
micromanaging. We've assigned the duties to him because it's a monumental task
So next time he comes in and he wants to volunteer for doing something that you're supposed to be doing, you say, go ahead and do it? You just gotta stop.
Yeah.
Nothing that was sold before.
I mean, we've sold, it's, the old, It's a double-edged sword, okay? People want to see the money come in. People complain, what about all these back taxes? What about these people that aren't paying? What are we doing about that, okay? Now you do something about it, and you don't like the way we do it. So we can either let it all sit out there, or we can take our time and do 1 or 2 a week, maybe, and bring in a couple $1,000s here and there, maybe. Or we can bring in north of $500,000 under the way we did it. I'll bring in $500,000.
What's the rush?
What's the
You
rush?
know just as well as I do, that the minute you sell one of those lots, and somebody puts a house on it, and they've got one kid, what's the cost, what are we paying right now for students?
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Okay, yes.
It's a negative, and you know it just as well as I do.
Absolutely.
So what's the big rush?
Because the state says we have to sell them now. They're now telling, the state told us, we have to sell them.
When's the last time the state comes down and pays our bills?
Well, you can argue them with that. I mean, they can stop paying the money they're sending. It's state law. State law came up, we're trying to follow it, and we have slowed down on it. We did take a big chunk all at once. We've stopped the process till we can digest what we've taken in. Not to mention, you're not even discussing the people that, in Stan doing his research and reaching out to people, just paid up their back taxes and kept their lot. Thousands and thousands of dollars.
John, I used to do that when I was in office. I had a number of people on payment schedules here, so we didn't have to throw them out of the house.
Yeah, and we've done that too with people's houses.
We also learned.
We've done that with houses, we've never done that with lots. We've had 2 or 3 people that have houses that we didn't want to take, and we've come up with payment plans for them, and they've redeemed them.
All of a sudden, we did it with 3 people, now you've got 5, and you're not doing it.
Because we had dozens. You had 1 or 2. We have dozens.
Oh, no, we had more. I don't know just how many, I don't know if Dean can remember, but it was a lot.
Discussions, but anyway, on the appointment thing.
Yeah.
The appointment stuff we're talking about, the appeals board's appointed. I think what town clerk or whatever Dee Dee's trying to get is that when you guys said to Stan, he should have been sworn in. Everyone else is sworn in the town, I think, just to make it, and so hopefully somebody at all this lot we sold doesn't come back and say, well, he had no authority. I know you asked him to do it, but if he was sworn in to do that task, that's what everyone's getting at, you know.
We've asked the building maintenance man here
Yes.
to take a lot of different tasks. He's not the special liaison to the trash at the
But you
lookout,
gave Stan
but he does it.
a new title as the special liaison. I think that's
It
what
was
we should have
tasked-
just sworn him in as to that, what you asked him to do, that's all. It just, you know, you do it now, it's after the fact, but, you know, just to make it a lot clearer. I mean, that was, he was sworn in to do that duty of the town of Limerick. No, it's no big deal, but it's just that, you know, everyone
But it
else.
seems to be. It's no big deal, but it is a big deal.
Well, like evidently
It's no
it
big
is
deal,
now,
but it
somebody
is, right?
brought it up, but I'm just saying, you just have them sworn in and be done with it. That's all.
So every time we ask an employee, Stan is an employee of the town, every time we ask them to change their job description, do something, we swear them in for it?
Not just a job description, you asked him to be the liaison for the
Yes.
board. That's a little more of a title, a little more of authority. You talked earlier about one of you guys going down to the bank and signing checks, okay? Well, there's a system of checks and balances, and you had to be bonded. So what I'm saying is, he was a special liaison, that's great, I don't care who and what, but I think what she was saying is, swear him in so there's something in writing that is his position. So that's all, it would take 2 seconds, you know?
Lisa.
Does the money that the town selling property for pay for his cost?
Directly. His costs go through the regular budget. The money that comes into the town goes into the town coffers.
But in the breakdown of what money comes in for the sale, in the difference that we have to send to the previous owner, there's a breakdown of how many hours Stan, yes, yes.
So that would cover,
Stan has not been paid one extra penny for what he's done. So we have no costs in Stan's activities.
so if he spends 40 hours a week doing this, he gets nothing.
He's got nothing. He's asked for no increase. He's asked for no, when we sell the property, we can deduct legal fees, administrative costs, which he tracks Dottie's hours in the work that she does, because she's done a lot of the research and prepared stuff. So her hours are tracked. Any of our costs are tracked, and we can deduct that from, the cost of the sale.
So that he gets what he's earned, but it doesn't cost the town people money.
He didn't ask for anything extra. I guess in the next round, we'll take another look at it. At this point, it'll be,
It's not costing the town money.
no, all of the lots that have been sold don't have a surplus, and some of them haven't brought in enough to cover all the back taxes and the fees, and there's nothing extra. So the ones that do have extra, that's all accounted for, and at some point, that entire accounting for that lot, anything we sold, has to be registered at the Registry of Deeds. We gotta register at the Registry of Deeds that says, this is what the lot was sold for. These are the costs. This is what was retained by the town for back taxes. And this is how much was refunded to the previous owner.
But they wouldn't get refunded if they didn't pay all the expenses of doing that, correct?
Right, those have to be deducted before the refund goes through.
Correct.
Okay. Moving on, we've got discussion of Bricktown Hall application, because we do have an application from company Mainly Dogs. They want to use the Bricktown Hall for, and have some dogs inside the building. So this has come to the Select Board to discuss whether we want to allow Bricktown Hall use to include dogs.
So she's a vet, it's a training, seminar that they do. I didn't get to talk to her today, I was hoping to. I didn't take the application initially, and normally I know I approve the other ones, but this one I wanted to pass by you. I can certainly get more information. I mean, like I said, she is a vet.
Does she charge the people that come to the training?
I don't think so, I think it's just that there will be dogs there, so.
But she doesn't charge for the training?
I can find out, I do not believe.
Because if she charges for the training, we've got a policy that
Yeah, no, I don't.
they
that
can't be a
wasn't my
money-making
thing. It was
venture.
more about just that there will be dogs there. I mean, I think it's very well run. I know somebody who's attended one, so, but like I said, I didn't get to talk to her today, so. I certainly can, if you guys have any questions you want answered, go yay or nay, or.
Yeah, we would have to find out if there's any money exchange. That would be,
I don't believe so. That's usually.
If there's no money exchanged, is she a local vet?
I believe so, I think so.
If there's no money exchanged, I think it could happen.
She lives in Limerick. I think she's the animal hospital one.
Okay, then I wouldn't have any problem with it as long as we get a copy of her insurance, naming the town. I mean, if you have a bunch of dogs and a bunch of people, and one dog bites one person on town property, we're liable. So I would ask for a copy of insurance with the town named as an additional insured.
Put something on the floor for that. Yeah, you are scratching off the floor.
What's the question?
I can't remember the last name.
Scarsera, it looks like.
All right, well, she's a vet, she lives in Limerick.
Well, we'll find out where she is. Find out if she has insurance, and we should get coverage. And we probably gotta find out how many dogs. And
9 dogs.
can't be more than 29 dogs.
Okay, well, we have a motion, was it seconded?
To do what?
Okay, right. Yeah, just get that information and we'll defer until, because that's for February 15th they're looking, so we got another week. Okay, I'll put that up there to include. That's the end of new business, so do we have any other new business from the board?
Last thing I just want to, so we didn't clearly meet with the budget committee on any, changes tonight, so I have the final, 7 copies that you guys will sign, I will leave for Dee in the morning.
We have to sign those tonight, is that?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll make sure we do that before we leave tonight. And that said, is there a hearing of citizens?
I see none. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Grab your pens.